Welcome to the Phil and H Travel Podcast. Is it worth it?
Really excited for this one today.
Yeah, today we are taking a massive deep dive into Koh Tarutao.
Which is just this incredible, massive, jungle-covered island.
Right, it's way down in the far south of Thailand, like practically rubbing shoulders with the Malaysian border. It guards the entrance to the Tarutao National Marine Park.
Exactly. And we're looking at this specifically through the lens of the 2026 and 2027 travel landscape.
Because right now, things have changed so much, but this is one of the absolute last cheap, barely developed islands left in the country.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you're looking at a place where national park bungalows run from around $14 a night.
$14.
Yeah, 14. And the park fee is near $5.50.
Which is just a stark, almost unbelievable contrast to the skyrocketing prices we are seeing on nearly every other Thai island right now.
But, and this is a huge but, there is an inherent unavoidable tension here.
Right, because the park completely closes for the monsoon from mid-May to mid-October.
Totally shuts down. Plus, there are no banks, no ATMs at all.
Zero.
And no 24-hour power. So this is a destination that deeply rewards meticulous planners.
And it will absolutely wreck those who try to wing it. Like, destroy your trip.
100%. It suits campers, budget travelers, nature-first couples, quiet seekers.
But on the flip side, it is a miserable fit for luxury travelers, the party crowd, or, anyone entirely reliant on card payments.
Yeah, if you need an ATM, do not go here.
So if you're planning a trip and want the honest, is it worth it verdict before you book, follow the show on Spotify or Apple.
To really understand the value proposition of Koh Tarutao in this current era of, hyper-commercialized travel, you have to look at what most tourists are missing.
And missing in the most literal sense possible, right?
Exactly. They're physically speeding right past it on their way to something else.
This contrarian claim in our sources was what grabbed me immediately.
It's crazy when you look at the logistics.
Right. You have thousands of people going through the massive hurdle of flying all the way down to Satun province. They get in the minivans, they get to the pier, they get on the boats.
And then they never actually set foot on Tarutao.
Never. How does a landmass this massive elephant just get ignored?
Because of the destination at the very end of the boat line?
Right.
Koh Lipe.
Yeah, the vast majority of these travelers are blowing straight past Tarutao on the speedboat heading directly to Lipe.
Which is wild.
And that bypass effect is precisely why Tarutao is worth auditing right now.
Because Koh Lipe has aggressively drifted upmarket.
Extremely upmarket. Over the last decade, it has become this dense grid of boutique resorts, beach clubs, high-end dive shops.
But the analytical reality here is that Tarutao offers you access to the exact same island chain.
The exact same turquoise Andaman seawater.
But for a fraction of the price and a fraction of the crowds.
Right.
I feel like we need a better framework to understand this than just, one is busy, one is quiet.
If you think about the modern travel industry as this giant, highly engineered machine designed to remove all friction from your vacation.
Koh Lipe is the final product.
Exactly. You tap your phone,
Yeah.
you pay premium prices, and a cocktail appears on the beach.
And Tarutao is the complete opposite of that.
Right. It is a high-friction environment.
And normally we view friction as a bad thing, right? Like a negative.
Yeah, but the argument in our deep dive today is that the friction is the only thing keeping the island pristine.
That is the core dynamic. The friction is the filter.
I love that phrase.
We should quantify that filter, actually, by looking at the headline numbers, the actual why now of this whole discussion.
Let's do it, because these figures are what make Tarutao an absolute anomaly in 2026 and 2027.
They really are.
I want to break down these exact USD figures, because when I first read the source material, I genuinely thought I was looking at an archived travel blog from, 2012.
It feels like a time warp.
It does. Okay, so the park entry fee for a foreign adult is roughly $5.50.
Yeah.
The park bungalows range from $14 to $33 a night.
For a whole bungalow.
Right. And if you want to camp and rent one of their tents, it is about $12.50, plus a tiny per-person fee.
So cheap.
And the Pak Bara speedboat ticket to even cross the ocean is around $10.
And what about food?
Simple meals at the Ranger restaurant are going to run between $2.20 and $4.20.
When you aggregate those numbers, the contrast is just staggering.
It is. But I need to push back on this, or at least, play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
Let's unpack this. A bungalow, a park entry fee, and a boat ticket combined cost less than a single mid-range hotel night on neighboring Koh Lipe.
Significantly less, yeah.
In the current global economy, when numbers are that absurdly favorable, there's always a catch.
Oh, absolutely.
The market doesn't just leave value like that sitting on the table unless there is a massive operational hurdle keeping people away.
And there is a massive operational hurdle here. Multiple, in fact.
Right.
This is where we need to establish the immediate skip-if criteria.
Crucial for anyone listening.
Because the enthusiasm generated by those low prices is often the exact thing that leads to crushing disappointment for the wrong type of traveler.
So what's the first hurdle?
First and foremost, this is not a resort island.
Got it.
It is managed by the Department of National Parks, Wildlife, and Plant Conservation.
Which means no commercial development.
Right. That means there are no bar strips, there are no massage shops stringing up fairy lights on the beach.
No 7-Elevens.
No 7-Elevens at all. And most critically for the modern traveler, there are absolutely no ATMs anywhere on the island.
Wow. Okay.
You must bring every single baht you intend to spend in physical cash.
This is where that friction concept becomes incredibly real.
Yeah.
We are so accustomed to the safety net of digital currency now. If you run out of cash in Bangkok or Phuket, it's a minor inconvenience, you know?
You just walk 50 feet to a convenience store.
Exactly. But if you run out of cash on Tarutao, you are insolvent.
Completely. You cannot eat. You cannot even pay for a boat off the island.
That is terrifying.
It is. And the infrastructure limits extend well beyond just the financial setup.
What else is missing?
The power grid. On Tarutao, it's entirely generator-based, which means electricity is only available in the evenings.
So during the day...
The fans in your room are dead, the lights are dead, everything is off.
That's intense in the Thai heat.
And furthermore, Wi-Fi and cellular signals are weak to completely non-existent depending on where you are standing on the island.
Okay, so if you are someone who feels like a physiological spike of anxiety when your phone drops to 3G, this island is going to be a nightmare for you.
A literal nightmare, yes.
But beyond the digital detox aspect, there is a much more severe skip-if criterion related to the calendar.
Yeah, the seasonal closure.
If you are looking at traveling between mid-May and mid-October, you must skip Tarutao entirely.
Entirely. The park effectively closes.
Boat services are suspended or drastically cut.
Right. And if you force your way out there or assume you can just wing it, you are actively courting a stranding scenario.
And the seasonal switch here isn't a mere suggestion, is it?
Not at all. It is dictated by the meteorological realities of the Andaman Sea.
Let's dig into how that seasonal switch actually functions, because this is vital.
Okay, so the park's official closure begins in mid-May.
Around when?
The official date is typically around May 16th, though it can fluctuate slightly by a day or two, depending on the year's specific weather patterns.
Okay.
From that moment through the end of September, the infrastructure just shuts down.
I think a lot of people misunderstand the concept of low season in Southeast Asia.
Oh, they definitely do.
They think it just means, you might get a rainy afternoon, so the hotels drop their rates by 30%.
Right.
But on Tarutao, it's not a soft closure. It's not a skeleton crew pouring drinks in the rain.
No, it is a hard, physical reality. The southwest monsoon in this specific region generates swells and storms that make the open speedboat crossings genuinely dangerous.
If not impossible.
Exactly. The National Park Service shuts down the visitor operations because they literally cannot safely sustain the logistical supply chain.
And they can't guarantee visitor safety.
Right. Reopening is then staggered throughout October.
And it's worth noting that the wider marine park, specifically islands further out like Koh Adang, might have components that stay closed as late as the end of the year.
That's a great point. So the practical due diligence for you, the absolute golden rule of planning this trip, is to treat mid-October to mid-May as your safe window.
Outside of that, you are playing roulette with the weather and the ferry schedules.
Exactly. Let's do a month-by-month breakdown, though, because within that safe window, the experience still varies wildly.
The optimal window, broadly speaking, is November through April.
Right. But if we narrow that down to the absolute peak dry conditions, you are looking at December, January, and February.
During these 3 months, you have the calmest seas.
Which means the speedboat crossing is relatively smooth, and the boat schedules are operating at maximum reliability.
But again, we run into the tension of travel. Because December to February offers the most pristine weather, it is also the window when the wider Tarutao National Marine Park is at its absolute busiest and most expensive.
Yeah, everyone in Europe and North America is fleeing the winter.
Exactly.
And while Tarutao itself doesn't have private resorts raising their prices, the island absolutely absorbs the overflow of backpackers and campers who get priced out of Koh Lipe during that peak window.
Right. Then, as we move out of the peak, we hit March and April.
This is a really fascinating micro-season.
It is. It stays dry, but the temperatures spike aggressively.
It becomes incredibly hot.
And April brings Songkran, the Thai New Year holiday.
Songkran is a critical variable. While Tarutao won't have massive water fights on the beach, the transit points are going to be wild.
Like the Hat Yai Airport, the minivan routes, the Pak Bara Pier.
Exactly. They will be dealing with massive crowds of domestic tourists utilizing the public holiday.
Moving past April, the worst possible months are June, July, August, and September.
The southwest monsoon basically dominates. Heavy, relentless rain, rough crossings, closed facilities.
Which leaves us with the shoulder risks, May and October.
Yeah, these months are sitting on a knife edge.
You might book a trip in early May and score completely empty beaches with perfect weather.
Or the monsoon might arrive 2 weeks early, and you find yourself standing at the mainland pier realizing there are literally 0 boats running.
It's an unnecessary gamble.
To fully grasp why these seasonal pressures matter, we really have to understand the geography of the crowds.
Right, because when we say Tarutao is huge, we mean it is a substantial landmass.
It's roughly 26 kilometers long and 11 kilometers wide at its broadest point.
That's huge. Yet the infrastructure built to handle visitors is microscopic relative to the island's size.
It really is. It is basically concentrated into a few tiny pinpricks of civilization on this massive green canvas.
Let's map out these nodes so everyone has a mental picture.
Okay, node 1 is Ayopante Malacca.
This is the primary hub, right?
Yes, it's where the Pak Bara speedboat drops you off at the pier. It houses the park headquarters, the main clusters of bungalows, the largest ranger-operated restaurant.
And the trailhead for the Tobu Cliffs viewpoint.
Exactly. Then you have Node 2, which is Ayomole.
Where's that located?
It's located a few kilometers south of headquarters. It's a quieter beach environment featuring its own smaller set of bungalows and a dedicated campsite.
So it offers a slightly more insulated experience away from the ferry pier traffic.
Right, and if you want to push the concept of isolation to its absolute limit, you have the far south.
Aosun. Aosun. This is a long, sweeping, completely empty beach accessed via a very rough dirt track.
Yeah, barely a road.
But what really fascinates me is the broader ecosystem of tourism here. We've mapped out these nodes, but as you mentioned earlier, the real crowd pressure isn't actually happening on Tarutao.
No, that's the paradox of this whole marine park.
Where is it?
The crushing crowd pressure is 40 minutes away across the water on Koh Lipe. If you look at Lipe's Pattaya Beach or Sunrise Beach during the December to February peak, they are absolutely packed with long-tail boats, day trippers, resort guests.
So Tarutao essentially operates as a buffer.
Yes, it catches a specific demographic: the overflow, the budget-conscious, and those intentionally seeking isolation.
Which brings us to perhaps the most important concept in this entire deep dive.
The no rooms wall.
Yes, the no rooms wall. Let's explain the mechanics of this because it completely defines how most people book modern travel.
It really does.
Like on Koh Lipe or Phuket or Samui, if demand spikes for Christmas or a long weekend, the hotel algorithms instantly jack up the prices, right?
Yeah, a $50 room becomes a $200 room overnight.
It's a standard free market pricing model, but Tarutao is a government-run national park.
So the accommodation rates on Tarutao are rigidly fixed by the park authority.
Right, that $14 to $33 bracket we discussed earlier.
That remains the price, whether it is a sleepy Wednesday in November or the absolute peak of the New Year's holiday.
So what fluctuates isn't the price.
Yeah.
It's the availability. You don't get priced out of Tarutao. You simply hit a brick wall where 0 beds exist.
Exactly. And that fixed price reality extends to the transport, too.
Right. The boats operate on a stable pricing model as well. Roughly $10 to Tarutao and about $16.50 if you ride the full route to Lipe.
Yeah, it's very consistent.
I want to pause here
Yeah.
because this is where you need actionable advice. So what does this all mean for the listener? If the prices don't change, what is the currency they need to use to secure their trip?
The currency is extreme foresight.
Foresight.
You must lock in your park accommodation and your Pak Bara boat ticket well in advance if you are traveling on any weekend between December and February or on any Thai public holiday.
You cannot rely on last-minute booking apps.
Absolutely not. Furthermore, you must never assume that a boat will wait for you if your flight is delayed,
Right.
or that operators are running off-season schedules purely for convenience. You have to verify everything directly.
This perfectly transitions us into the reality of getting there, the logistics.
The fun part.
Because making the decision to go is one thing, right? Actually getting your physical body onto the island is a multi-step process that actively sheds uncommitted tourists at every single stage.
It's a gauntlet. Let's map the route.
Unless you are already deep in southern Thailand, you are going to fly into Hat Yai.
Yeah, Hat Yai serves as the primary regional aviation hub.
You can catch a low-cost carrier from Bangkok, such as AirAsia, Nok Air, or Thai Lion Air.
And that return flight is generally going to run you between $40 and $90, depending on how far in advance you book and the baggage limits you select.
From the Hat Yai airport, you have to transition to the overland leg. You need to get to the Pak Bara pier on the west coast.
Right. For the budget conscious, there are shared minivans.
These cost about $6 to $8 per person. It's a somewhat cramped 90-minute to 2-hour ride through the southern provinces.
If you have a larger group or just want to buy your way out of the friction, you can book a private van for about $42 to $55.
Once you arrive at Pak Bara, you transition to the sea leg.
And this is where the reality of the destination really sets in.
You are boarding an open speedboat. It is not a massive, stabilized, multi-deck, air-conditioned catamaran ferry.
Definitely not. It is a functional, fiberglass speedboat built for transit.
It takes about 30 to 45 minutes to reach Tarutao from the mainland, or roughly 90 minutes if you are taking the full route straight to Lipe.
And we need to be very clear about the physical sensation of this ride.
Yes, let's talk about that. If the sea is choppy, you are going to bounce hard.
You are likely going to get hit with sea spray. It is loud. It is visceral.
That physical discomfort serves as the final transition away from the curated tourist trail.
It really does. Because when the boat finally slows down and maneuvers toward Ponte Malacca, your first impression of Tarutao is defined by what is missing.
I love describing this moment. You step out of the speedboat, and your feet hit this heavy wooden pier. You walk up, pay your $5.50 entry fee to the rangers, and you enter the main visitor node.
Yeah.
You see the park headquarters, the simple restaurant, the neat rows of bungalows, and the dense green wall of the jungle right behind it. But the vibe, it's incredibly specific.
It feels distinctly institutional.
That's the word, institutional.
It does not feel resort-like, and that is a crucial distinction. There is no welcome committee handing you a cold towel infused with lemongrass.
There are no hawkers aggressively trying to rent you a jet ski.
There are no touts waving laminated menus in your face trying to drag you to their specific guest house.
The auditory environment is just the sound of the jungle, the wind coming off the sea, and perhaps the rustle of a massive monitor lizard dragging itself across the concrete pathway.
It's beautiful, but it's stark.
And this exact moment of arrival is where the absolute most critical friction point occurs.
Because the lack of ATMs and card acceptance hits you the second your feet are dry.
Imagine this scenario. You're used to traveling in Phuket. You figure you'll hit an ATM when you get off the boat.
Right, classic mistake.
You didn't pull cash in Hat Yai. You walk up to the ranger desk to pay your park fee, or you go to the canteen to buy a bottle of water, and you realize you have zero physical Thai baht.
It is an immediate, localized crisis. You cannot download an app to fix it.
You cannot tap your phone.
The rangers are not equipped with point-of-sale terminals for international credit cards.
Arrival demands preparation. If you fail that test, your trip is severely compromised before it even begins.
But let's assume you passed that test. You brought a thick stack of small denomination baht.
Let's talk about where you are going to sleep. Because the accommodation landscape here is entirely managed by the national park. There are no private boutique hotels.
None.
We've broken this down into 4 distinct tiers. And understanding what you get for your money in each tier is vital.
Let's begin with the backpacker or budget tier.
Okay, what does that look like?
This centers around the campsites located at Awamole and Ponte Malacca.
For approximately $12.50 a night, you can rent a multi-person tent provided by the park.
In addition to the tent, there is a small per-person camping fee of around $2.20.
If you require bedding, a sleeping set, which consists of a basic mat, a thin blanket, and a pillow, will cost an additional $1.50 per night.
And if you are truly hardcore and lug your own tent all the way from home, you just pay the tiny patch fee to pitch it.
It's phenomenally cheap.
It is, but we have to be honest about the trade-offs.
Right. You're sleeping on the ground in a tropical jungle. The communal toilets and showers are basic and functional, not luxurious.
The power limitations mean your devices are going to struggle to stay charged. You are dealing with insects.
And crucially, you have zero cooking facilities, meaning you are entirely reliant on the Ranger restaurant for every single calorie.
Moving up one level brings us to the mid-range couple tier.
This represents the standard park bungalows at either Alapante Malacca or Alo Mole.
You are looking at a rate of roughly $16.50 for a standard two-person room equipped with a private ensuite toilet.
If you manage to secure one of these slightly upgraded or better positioned units, the price might scale up to $22 a night.
$16.50 for a private room on an island in Thailand in 2026.
That alone makes this deep dive worthwhile.
But again, let's talk about the friction. You are dealing with generator power.
When the Rangers kill the generator late at night, your fan stops spinning.
The air conditioning, if the unit even has it, is entirely unreliable or disabled.
You are dealing with basic, utilitarian, government-issue furniture. It is shelter, not luxury.
Which leads us to the family tier.
Right.
From an analytical perspective, this tier represents the absolute peak value proposition of Koh Tarutao.
I completely agree. This is the hidden gem of the whole island system.
It really is.
If you have a group of 4, you can rent a single room with a shared toilet facility for about $14.
But why would you when the next option exists?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The absolute steal is the $33 bungalow.
For $33 a night, you get a 4-person unit that features 2 separate bedrooms and 2 separate bathrooms.
To contextualize that, finding a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom structure on any Thai island for $33 a night is virtually impossible in the current market.
That specific bungalow format on Tarutao is arguably the single best value family lodging available in any Thai marine park today.
It's mind-boggling, but wait, I have to play the skeptic again.
Okay, hit me.
Surely, in a world where ecotourism is a multi-billion-dollar industry, someone is offering a premium experience here. Some developer must have found a loophole to build a high-end glamping site or a boutique eco-lodge. What is the luxury tier?
The luxury tier simply does not exist
At all.
There is no premium, commercially developed accommodation on Koh Tarutao. The Department of National Parks has maintained strict control over the land use. If a traveler demands luxury, if their vacation fundamentally requires reliable 24-hour air conditioning, high thread count sheets, infinity pools, and on-demand room service, they cannot sleep on Tarutao.
So what's the play for them?
The play is to spend $60 to $200 or significantly more per night to base themselves on Koh Lipe.
Oh, right.
They can enjoy the luxury infrastructure there and simply experience Tarutao as a day trip via speedboat to see the history and the jungle before returning to their air-conditioned suite.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The accommodation ties directly into the next major logistical hurdle. We are moving from the narrative of where you sleep to the mechanics of how you survive.
Specifically eating.
Right. When you sleep at a resort, you have a minibar, you have room service, you have a breakfast buffet.
When you sleep in a national park bungalow, you have absolutely none of that.
Food on Tarutao represents one of the most rigid systems on the island. The entire food supply is centralized at the government-run ranger restaurants.
There is a facility at Alapante Malacca and another at Ao Mole.
The defining characteristic of these restaurants isn't the menu, though.
No, it is the operating window.
This is the catch that ruins people's days.
The restaurants operate strictly from roughly 7:00 a.m. to 2:00 p.m.
They then completely shut down for the afternoon.
and reopen for a dinner service from roughly 5:00 p.m. to 9:00 p.m.
This requires a massive behavioral adjustment for travelers accustomed to the perpetual availability of modern cities.
Outside of those specific operational hours, there is virtually zero food available for purchase on the island.
There is no independent bakery down the beach. There is no local night market popping up at dusk.
There is a small shop at headquarters that sells basic packaged snacks and drinks, but its inventory is minimal.
This means you are essentially living on a boarding school schedule.
That's a great way to put it.
If you decide to go for a long hike and you get back to the headquarters at 3:15 p.m., you are not getting a hot meal. You are going to sit on the porch of your bungalow and wait for 2 hours until the canteen opens.
The absolute mandate here is that you must bring supplemental snacks and extra water from the mainland to bridge these gaps.
It also requires us to break down the fixed pricing model in detail. Because you are operating entirely in a cash economy, you need to know exactly how much physical currency to allocate for your daily caloric intake.
Let's run through the USD and Thai baht breakdown for the canteen.
A standard plate of rice or noodles, served with vegetables or a fried egg, is going to cost you between $2.20 and $3.30.
In local currency, that is 80 to 120 tall.
If you want a dish with chicken or seafood, you are looking at $3.30 to $4.20.
For beverages, a bottle of water is generally well under $1. A cup of instant coffee or tea is around $1.
If they have alcohol stocked, which isn't always a guarantee in a national park, a large beer will run between $2.50 and $3.50.
When you total all that up, assuming 3 square meals and a few drinks, your total food budget is going to sit tightly between $10 and $15 per person per day.
And knowing that baseline 80 to 120 baht price for a single meal is incredibly practical.
It allows you to mathematically count out the exact physical cash you need to withdraw from the ATM in Hat Yai before you ever get in the minivan.
Additionally, we must note a dietary limitation. If you are a strict vegetarian or vegan, your choices at these ranger canteens are going to be exceptionally narrow.
You will likely be eating variations of plain rice, basic noodles, and whatever vegetables they received on the last supply boat. Bringing your own protein bars or backup food is highly advised.
While we are on the topic of interacting with the park infrastructure, let's briefly touch on etiquette.
The rules here are simple but non-negotiable.
You are expected to dress modestly when you are away from the immediate beach areas. This is the place to walk through the headquarters in a tiny bikini.
You must pack out all of your rubbish. Do not leave trash in the bins hoping the rangers will deal with it.
Do not feed the long-tailed macaques or the monitor lizards, as it disrupts the ecosystem and creates aggressive animal behavior.
And absolutely do not touch, stand on, or remove any coral or shells. It is a protected marine reserve, and the rangers will enforce those environmental rules.
All right, we're moving into a priority segment because the entire appeal of Tarutao, the reason we were talking about it for an hour, rests heavily on the financials.
The island's magic only works if these numbers work.
And the numbers only work if you physically carry the cash. So let's look at the daily budget breakdown across 5 specific traveler archetypes. Remember, every figure here assumes a cash-only ecosystem.
Let's begin with the backpacker archetype.
For a solo backpacker, a realistic daily budget is $25 to $35 per day.
That calculation includes $12.50 for the tent rental, or the $2 to $4 fee if you bring your own.
It includes $10 to $15 for your daily food at the canteen, roughly $4 if you want to rent a bicycle to get between the beaches, and a $5 emergency buffer.
$25 a day is practically unheard of for an island experience of this caliber in 2026.
But what is the overrun risk for the backpacker? How do they accidentally blow that budget?
The primary overrun risk is getting lured into chartering a private longtail boat for an excursion rather than finding a group to split the cost.
Or, quite simply, miscalculating their appetite and burning through their small denomination bat faster than anticipated, forcing an early departure.
Next up is the mid-range traveler, or a couple traveling together.
We are looking at a per-person budget about $35 to $50 a day.
That breaks down to $8 to $11 per person for the room, assuming you split a $16 to $22 private bungalow.
Food steps up slightly to $12 to $18 a day.
You allocate $8 to $16 per person to join a shared longtail boat excursion to the Crocodile Cave or down to Aosun, and you maintain an $8 daily buffer.
The overrun risk here is similar. If you and your partner decide you want a romantic, private, long-tail boat for the day, instead of sharing it with strangers, that boat charter is going to devour your daily budget instantly.
Now let's look at the family archetype, a group of 4.
This is where the mathematics of Tarutao become genuinely incredible.
A family of 4 is looking at a total combined daily budget of $100 to $135. That is for the entire family.
Wait, break that down for me, because spending barely over $100 a day for 4 people on a tropical island sounds impossible.
It works because of that specific $33 bungalow we highlighted earlier.
Ah, right.
You spend $33 for the 2-bedroom structure. You allocate $40 to $55 total to feed all 4 people at the Ranger Canteen.
You budget $30 to $45 to share a long-tail boat excursion.
You account for the one-time park entry fees, $5.50 per adult and $2.75 per child, and you keep a $15 daily buffer.
That is just staggering value. If a family comes out here for a 3-night-long weekend, their total on-island expenditure is going to land between $350 and $450.
You can easily spend that on a single dinner in Phuket.
Precisely. Now, we must address the luxury archetype, even though we've established the infrastructure doesn't support it.
If a luxury traveler attempted to max out their spending on Tarutao, staying in the best available bungalow and eating the most expensive items, they would struggle to spend more than $60 to $90 a day.
But it would still be a fundamentally basic experience. True comfort, as we noted, requires budgeting $150 to $300 or more per day to base on Koh Lipe.
Finally, the digital nomad archetype.
We get asked about this constantly. Can I just go live on a cheap Thai island and code for a month?
Mathematically, a frugal month on Tarutao would cost a digital nomad between $900 and $1,400. However, here is the harsh reality check.
You cannot work here.
It is technologically impossible. The cellular connectivity is too weak to support video calls or large file transfers, and the lack of daytime generator power means you have no way to keep a laptop charged for an 8-hour workday.
So the nomad strategy is to base in Hat Yai or Koh Lipe for the month, do your heavy lifting there, and just take a weekend trip to Tarutao for a 2 to 3 night total digital reset.
Getting these budget archetypes wrong is what leads directly into the logistical traps that sink most Tarutao trips. The friction of this island is unforgiving if you aren't prepared for it. Let's explicitly name the 3 major logistics traps.
Trap number 1 is the no ATM cash trap. We've hammered this point, but let's explain the actual mechanism.
The island operates without a bank, without an ATM, and without a card processing network.
The reality is that modern travelers are deeply conditioned to expect ubiquitous digital banking. They arrive on Tarutao with perhaps a few hundred baht left over from their airport taxi, assuming they will simply find a cash machine near the beach.
They quickly realize they need hundreds, if not thousands, of baht to cover their bungalow balance, their daily meals, and their eventual boat ride back to the mainland.
The penalty for falling into this trap is severe. You either have to immediately turn around and leave the island, cutting your trip short, or you are reduced to awkwardly begging other travelers to trade you physical baht in exchange for a PayPal or Venmo transfer.
It's humiliating and stressful. The fix is remarkably simple. Withdraw all the cash you need while you are standing in Hat Yai. Budget $40 to $60 per person per day in small notes and keep it in a dry bag.
Trap number 2 is the monsoon closure and boat cut trap.
The mechanism here is the strict park closure from mid-May to mid-October and the resulting cessation of ferry services.
The reality of how people fall into this is purely based on the illusion that Thailand is always open. Someone in London or New York sees an incredibly cheap flight to Hat Yai in late May. They book it, assuming they can just figure out the boats when they get there.
The penalty is a completely wasted flight costing hundreds of dollars and finding yourself stranded on the mainland in Pak Bara during a torrential rainstorm with no way to reach the islands.
The fix is absolute calendar discipline. Only book your travel during the mid-October to mid-May safe window, and always explicitly confirm with your boat operator that they are running services within a week of your departure.
Trap number 3 is the restaurant hours and last boat trap.
The mechanism is the rigid 7:00 a.m. to 2:00 p.m. and 5:00 p.m. to 9:00 p.m. food windows at the canteen, combined with the fact that day trip boats from the mainland or Koh Lipe operate on strict schedules and do not linger.
The reality is that travelers get swept up in the adventure. They go hiking on the cross-island trails, lose track of time, and hike back into headquarters at 3:30 p.m. expecting to buy a late lunch. They find locked doors and empty tables.
Or, more dangerously, they take a long tail down to the remote Aosun beach, miscommunicate their pickup time, and watch the last scheduled boat disappear around the headland.
I've been thinking about a way to describe this, and it's basically a reverse Cinderella situation.
Exactly. If you aren't back at the pier by the deadline, you aren't turning into a pumpkin. You're just turning out your pockets for a $60 private boat charter to come rescue you, assuming you can even get a cell signal to call one.
And if you can't, you are spending a very hungry, very dark night on an empty beach. The fix is to carry a surplus of high-calorie snacks, and the absolute second you arrange a boat drop-off, pin down the exact, non-negotiable pickup time with the captain.
Let's shift the conversation towards safety, solo travel, and general comfort. Because when people hear jungle island with no power, their mind instantly goes to a certain profile of danger.
But the risk hierarchy on Tartao is fundamentally different from a place like Phuket or Koh Phangan.
It is entirely different.
Right.
You are not worrying about pickpockets in a crowded market. You are not worrying about drinks spiking at a full moon party or getting into a traffic accident on a rented scooter.
The risks on Tartao are purely environmental.
You're worrying about the ocean.
Yeah.
You're worrying about sunstroke. You're worrying about severe dehydration if you miscalculate your water supply on a hike.
And you're worrying about the sheer remoteness of your physical location.
That remoteness is the critical factor in any medical emergency. If you twist an ankle severely or have a serious allergic reaction, there is no state-of-the-art clinic on the beach.
You are facing a multi-hour extraction, a speedboat ride back to Pak Bara, followed by a long minivan ride to the nearest major hospital in Hat Yai.
Given that risk profile, how does this destination stack up for solo female travel?
Paradoxically, it is an excellent destination for solo female travelers, precisely because the criminal and social risks are virtually zero.
There is no aggressive bar scene, no late-night party crowds, and essentially zero hassle from touts. It is peaceful.
However, the caveat is the isolation itself. A solo traveler here must be highly disciplined. You must inform the rangers or other travelers of your daily hiking plans.
You must carry a high-capacity power bank to ensure your phone is charged, despite the generator cuts.
And you should absolutely avoid remote dusk hikes, like the long track down to Arosan completely alone.
What about families? We praise the $33 bungalow, but is it actually safe to bring kids here?
It is a wonderful environment for older children who appreciate nature, but it requires serious parental preparation.
You're acting as your own quartermaster.
You must bring all necessary pediatric medicines, a massive supply of clean drinking water, high-quality insect repellent, and that crucial pile of physical cash.
It is not suitable for infants who might require immediate access to pediatric health care.
Let's touch on general due diligence regarding the boats. We mentioned the environmental risks, and the sea crossings are at the top of that list.
Scams on Tarutao are minimal, provided you buy your boat tickets at the official booths at the Pak Bara pier. The most crucial safety rule you can follow involves the boats.
Never ever pressure a longtail or speedboat captain to make a crossing in bad weather.
If the sky is black, the sea is rough, and the captain hesitates, respect their local knowledge and skip the crossing entirely. Do not let your rigid itinerary force you into a dangerous situation on the Andaman Sea.
Also, use common sense in the water. Don't swim hundreds of yards offshore alone. Don't go poking around deep inside the sea caves without a local guide and a heavy-duty flashlight. And do not underestimate the sheer, oppressive heat of the sun during those March and April peaks.
Okay, let's move into the actual experience on the ground. We've talked about the logistics and the friction. What are the genuine rewards that make this all worth it? And what are the honest disappointments?
Let's start with the genuine rewards. The physical environment offers some spectacular, low-traffic highlights.
The Tobu Cliff is a standout. It's a free, relatively short, but very steep hike located right behind the headquarters at Ayopanti Malacca.
When you reach the top, you are rewarded with sweeping, panoramic views of the dense mangrove forests meeting the ocean.
Then you have Thamjorika, also known as the Crocodile Cave. Getting there requires hiring a long-tail boat, which will cost between $16.50 and $45, depending on whether you negotiate a shared or private trip.
The boat takes you up a mangrove river, and then you transfer to a smaller raft or kayak to paddle deep into this dark, incredibly atmospheric limestone cavern system.
And for pure beach isolation, Awasan is unparalleled. If you make the effort to trek or take a boat down the west coast, you find this immense long sweep of sand that is frequently completely empty.
But beyond the geography, there is a historical weight to Tarutao that fundamentally elevates the experience above a standard beach holiday.
This is the part of the research that absolutely blew my mind. When you look at most tropical islands, their history is just fishing village turns into resort.
Tarutao has a dark, cinematic history.
In the late 1930s, the Thai government surveyed its territory looking for a natural, inescapable prison for political detainees and serious criminals.
Tarutao, isolated by miles of rough ocean and infested with crocodiles and malaria, was the perfect Thai Alcatraz.
But then World War II breaks out, and the logistics of maintaining a prison island during a global conflict completely collapse.
The mainland essentially stops sending food and medical supplies. You have a situation where the government guards and the political prisoners are trapped on this island looking at each other and slowly starving to death.
Survival forced a radical alliance. The guards and the prisoners banded together, utilized the prison boats, and turned to outright piracy.
They began raiding merchant vessels passing through the Strait of Malacca, stealing food, supplies, and weapons.
They became a legitimate naval threat, to the point where, after the war ended, British forces from neighboring Malaya had to intervene in 1946 to clear out the pirate camps and shut the operation down.
It is an incredible, violent, desperate history. And today, you can still hike out and see the ruins of the old prison sites at Udang in the south and Aotalawao on the east coast.
Knowing that history gives the jungle here a heavy, eerie atmosphere, you are walking on sand where starving guards and prisoners forged a pirate pact. It is entirely unique.
It is, but we must also balance that fascinating history with the honest disappointments of the modern visitor experience. We are here to give a verdict, which means managing expectations.
Here is the truth. If you are coming here expecting the blinding postcard white sands that you see on Instagram feeds from Koh Lipe or the Maldives, you are going to be disappointed.
The beaches at the main visitor nodes on Tarutao are pleasant, they are wide, and they are surrounded by beautiful jungle, but they are not the pristine white powder people associate with luxury Thai islands.
The water clarity is also highly variable. Because Tarutao has significant mangrove ecosystems and river mouths, the water near the main beaches can frequently be murky with sediment.
If you are coming specifically for world-class snorkeling directly off the beach, Tarutao is going to underwhelm you. The truly spectacular crystal-clear coral reefs in this marine park are located further out, ringing Koh Lipe and Koh Adang.
We also need to talk about what the photos don't show. Photography completely hides the physical discomfort.
A beautiful picture of your bungalow doesn't capture the extreme stagnant heat of the afternoon. It doesn't capture the relentless hum of insects in the jungle.
It doesn't capture the pitch-black, slightly unnerving darkness that falls over the camp when the generators shut down. And it certainly doesn't capture the sheer annoyance of wanting a cold soda and realizing there is no shop for miles.
You have to actively embrace the ruggedness or you will be miserable.
And you must be financially vigilant on the ground. Do not overpay for solo long-tail charters just because you are impatient. And avoid any vague tour packages sold by mainland agencies that simply bundle up cheap public park fees and charge you a massive premium.
If all of those disappointments and friction points sound like absolute deal breakers to you, where should you go instead? Let's look at the alternatives within the same region.
The most obvious alternative is Koh Lipe. It is located in the exact same marine park, and it sits at the end of the exact same speedboat route from Pak Bara.
But the experience is fundamentally inverted. Lead has zero friction. It features that blinding white sand on Sunrise and Pattaya beaches.
It has a massive array of restaurants serving international cuisine. It has cocktail bars. It has reliable air conditioning. It has dozens of dive shops. And most importantly, it has ATMs.
The trade-off for that lack of friction is the cost and the crowds. You are choosing to spend anywhere from $60 to well over $200 a night for accommodation, and you will be sharing the beaches with thousands of other tourists.
You choose Lipe for absolute comfort. You choose Tarutao for absolute solitude and rock-bottom prices.
But what if I want something in the middle? What if I want better water than Tarutao, but I don't want the massive crowds and prices of Lipe? Alternative 2 is Koh Adang.
Koh Adang is often described as Lipe's rugged sister island. It sits just across a narrow channel from Lipe.
It operates under the national park system, meaning it has similar park bungalows, but they are generally newer and start at a slightly higher price point, around $40 a night.
Adang is the ultimate middle ground. The beaches and the offshore snorkeling are significantly better than Tarutao. And because it's physically so close to Lipe, you can actually take a cheap 10-minute long-tail taxi boat over to Lipe to use an ATM or eat at a nice restaurant, and then retreat to the quiet of the national park to sleep.
Yet, despite Adang's advantages, Tarutao remains relevant because it is much larger, significantly wilder, slightly cheaper, and possesses that rich, dark history that Adang lacks.
All right, we have reached the priority segment, the Is It Worth It matrix.
Oh.
We are going to team up and deliver rigid, uncompromising verdicts for every single traveler archetype we discussed. Number 1, the backpacker.
For the backpacker, I rate Tarutao a 9 out of 10. It is absolutely worth it, provided you respect the calendar and go during the mid-October to mid-May window.
If you can tolerate basic conditions, surviving on $25 to $35 a day makes this one of the absolute top cheap island experiences left in Southeast Asia.
You must skip it only if you require ATMs, nightlife, or if your travel dates fall during the monsoon.
Number 2, the mid-range traveler or couple. I am giving this a 7 out of 10. It is completely worth it if your goal is a quiet, nature-focused break immersed in unique history.
At $35 to $50 per person per day, it's a steal. The absolute key to making this work is securing that private toilet bungalow in the $16.50 to $22 range.
But you have to be honest with yourself. Skip it if you absolutely need reliable air conditioning to sleep, or if you want easy on-demand dining outside of the strict canteen hours.
Number 3, families. This archetype gets an 8 out of 10. It is highly recommended and worth it entirely on the back of that incredible $33 two-bathroom bungalow.
Securing a daily total budget of $100 to $135 for a family of 4 in a marine park is mathematically unbeatable.
However, parents must skip it if they have very young children who might require rapid access to nearby medical care, or if the intense logistics of planning cash reserves and adhering to rigid meal times will ruin their vacation.
Number 4, the luxury traveler. This one is a harsh 3 out of 10. It is worth it only as a rustic half-day excursion.
If you are a luxury seeker, base yourself on Koh Lipe, spend your $150 to $300 a night on a premium resort, and just visit Tarutao on a fast boat to see the pirate history. Do not try to sleep here.
The very best on-island setup maxes out at $60 to $90 a day, and the lack of AC and power will make you miserable.
Finally, number 5, the digital nomad or solo traveler. We have a split verdict here. As a long-term base to live and work, it gets a 4 out of 10.
As a short disconnected break, it gets an 8 out of 10. It is highly worth it for a 2 to 3 night off-grid reset to clear your head.
But you must skip it as a working base. The connectivity is simply too weak, and the lack of daytime power makes running a laptop impossible.
A frugal month might mathematically cost $900 to $1,400, but the friction means you won't be able to earn a single dime while you are there.
So, synthesizing all of this, what is the overall verdict? Book carefully. Tarutao offers outstanding value and incredible wild nature, but only if you hit a very narrow set of conditions.
You have to travel between October and May. You have to carry a thick stack of physical cash. You must actively confirm your boat schedules. And you have to prioritize history, isolation, and quiet over modern comfort.
Miss the weather window or run out of cash, and your dream cheap island trip becomes a stranding.
Which leaves us with a fascinating lingering thought. If we step back and connect the mechanics of Koh Tarutao to the bigger picture of global travel, we are living in an era where every beautiful stretch of sand on Earth is being rapidly monetized.
Islands are being paved over, wired for high-speed Wi-Fi, and optimized for maximum tourist throughput.
It is the relentless march of convenience.
Exactly. So the question becomes, how long can places like Tarutao survive? Is the Thai government intentionally using simple friction, the lack of ATMs, the rigid ferry schedules, and the basic generator power as a calculated preservation strategy?
Or is it just bureaucratic neglect? Because whether it is intentional or accidental, that friction is the only barrier keeping the crowds on Lipe.
That is a profound way to look at it. Perhaps the very inconveniences we spend so much energy complaining about, the sweating through the night, the bugs, the panic of not having a 7-Eleven, are actually the only things keeping these wild spaces wild.
If this gave you the honest verdict you needed, follow the show. New episodes drop every day.
That is the honest verdict from Phil and H.